Go away.
Mac's voice came from the other side of Stefan's bus. I thought he was talking to me and spun toward the sound, but all I saw was the bus.
Not without you.
The bus had darkened windows. I could see through them well enough to see the side door was open, framing the vague, shadowy forms of Mac and his visitor. I didn't see anyone else. The wind was right, blowing gently past them to me, and I realized I'd smelled 2 other people besides Mac, another werewolf and a human. I didn't recognize either one. Although I know most of Adam's wolves by scent, it wouldn't be odd if he had gotten a new wolf without me hearing about it. But it was the human that told me something was up. I'd never known Adam to send a human out with one of his wolves on business. Stranger yet was that no one showed any sign they knew I was around. Both werewolves should have heard me, but neither appeared to notice.
No. No more cages, no more drugs. They weren't helping.
Cages? Someone had been keeping Mac in a cage? There was no need for that, not with Adam around. Though some alphas had to depend upon bars to control new wolves, Adam wasn't one of them. Nor did Mac's comments about drugs make sense. There are no drugs that work on werewolves.
They were, kid. You just need to give them a chance. I promise you, we can undo your curse.
Undo his curse? There was no drug in the world that would undo the change. And darn few werewolves who considered their state a curse after the first few months. Eventually, most of them felt that becoming short-tempered and occasionally furry was a small price to pay for extraordinary strength, speed, and senses. Not to mention the fringe benefit of a body immune to disease and old age. Even if the werewolf belonged to Adam, I doubted he knew that one of his pack was telling wild stories. At least I hoped he didn't know. Mac seemed to know these 2, though, and I was beginning to feel that his story was more complicated than I had thought.
You talk like you have a choice. But the only choice you have is how you get there.
These weren't Adam's men. The mention of curses, cages, and drugs made them the enemy. If Mac didn't want to go with them, I wouldn't let them take him. The streets were empty. After 6, the warehouse district is pretty dead. I stripped out of my clothes as quietly as I could and shifted into coyote form. As a human, I didn't stand a chance against a werewolf. The coyote was still not a match, but I was fast. Much faster than a real coyote, and just a hair quicker than a werewolf. I jumped onto the railing and vaulted from there to the top of Stefan's bus for the advantage of the higher position, though I was giving up surprise. No matter how quietly I moved, a werewolf could hear the click of my nails on the metal roof. I readied myself for launch, but paused. From atop the bus, I could see Mac and the 2 men. Mac had his back to me, but all the others would have had to do was look up to see me. They didn't. Something wasn't right. Behind the 2 strangers was a big black SUV, the kind of car you'd expect bad guys to drive.
I don't believe there's any way to undo what you did to me. You can't give me back my life or give Meg back hers. All you can do is leave me alone.
The human's hair was in a crew cut, but it was the big black gun I could see peeking out of his shoulder holster that first made me think military. Both of the strangers stood like military men. Adam had the posture too. Their shoulders were just a little stiff, their backs a little too straight. Maybe they did belong to Adam. If I hurt one of Adam's wolves, there would be hell to pay.
The moon's coming. Can't you feel it?
How are you planning on surviving the winter, kid? It gets cold around December, even in this desert.
I'm working here at the garage. If it gets colder, I think she'll let me sleep in the garage until I find somewhere to live. If I ask her.
Ask her? She kept you here for us. She's one of us, kid. How else do you think we found you?
Mac smelled of shock first, then defeat. Emotions have a smell, but only in my coyote form is my nose good enough to distinguish more than the strongest feelings. My lips curled back over my teeth. I don't like liars, especially when they are lying about me.
When the moon comes, you can't stop the change. Then you can run and drink the fear of your prey before they die beneath your fangs.
Moonstruck. If this wolf was so new that he was moonstruck, he certainly wasn't Adam's, and whoever had sent him out was an idiot.
I'm not coming.
Mac took one step away from them, then another, putting his back against the bus. He stiffened.
Mercy?